Hey there, graphic designers. Welcome to part three of creating the portfolio. Today we're going to take a look at adding and subtracting things from the website. So, right now, this is a whole big scroll menu of stuff that was originally on here. So, with all of these parts, they're all drag and drop, and they all have these little X's in the upper right hand corner. So, anything that we don't want or anything that is not necessary, we can take and come in and start deleting. So I'm going to take some time here, go through, just get rid of all this stuff because for this portfolio, for what we're doing, we don't need this much stuff. I just want to kind of have a splash page where people kind of come, see like the welcome to, maybe have a little information. So again, we can kind of click on stuff, get rid of it. Um, you can see there's a spacer right here, which is how we move things around, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. This one wants to be problematic. That's all right. We'll take care of that one later. But this is pretty much what I'm looking for right here. And maybe it's not a little bit about myself. Maybe it's, welcome to my portfolio. And then maybe you give a little information about yourself, but not too much because it's going to be out there on the internet. The learn more can take you to like the portfolio page if you want to. So we can take and link this right here. So if we hit link, um, right now it's going to the about, but we could take and say go to Illustrator, go to Photoshop, or go to coursework. If we don't want it, again, we can get rid of it. So I'm just going to remove it right now. Um, Again, there's some other spacers that are down here. So when you're working with the layout, it's already preset up. A lot of times there's extra stuff in there. Now, right now, there's this giant header right here, which is basically, if I click on it, I can slide it up. I can click the button to replace it or to edit the background and give some other options. I don't like that it's up there. So underneath my home, if I click on it, right here is where we can edit that header. So I can take and say no header, and it completely removes it. And now we're looking at just our little welcome page. So we have welcome to portfolio. Maybe I do a little write up. This image here, we can take and replace. So we can hit edit image, we can hit replace image. So if I go edit image, we're able to take and crop it and filter it and whatnot. But you guys will learn how to do that in Photoshop. Replace it. So we can upload from the computer. I'm just going to grab a random image that I have, and it's drag and drop, and it gets replaced on there. Okay. So right now we can see that right here, this has a spacer at the top. So this is down a little bit, whereas this image is up at the top. So it's not quite centered. We want things to be centered. We want things to be laid out nicely. So if I go to build, I can come in here and we have the spacer right here. And the way this works is drag and drop. So you can see that blue highlight to the left. That would add it to the left. If we come up to the top, that's going to add it to the top. So we can see it's going to be right above that image. If we go a little bit higher up, that'll add it to the entire width of the page because that blue line up at the top is going across the entire thing. So I want to make sure that I'm just going above this guy. We can take that spacer and click and drag, and we want it to be just centered with our text that's kind of over here. So if we add more text down here, it's a little bit longer. We could take in with that spacer, slide it down to give it a little bit more vertical height, but that all just kind of depends on what you write right there. Get rid of that guy right there too. So now it's just that nice little welcome page, and kind of about who you are and what the site is and the portfolio. I can come over to Illustrator because I made it new. It's just a brand new page. Again, it has the header, which I don't want. So if I go back to pages, we can see we're already in Illustrator. I can take and say no header to get rid of it. And now I can take and go back to build, and I can start building what I want. So I'm going to take a title, drag it in here. The first big project we did was the vinyl sticker. So maybe we start with that. We have all of our options along here for like height and stuff. I'm going to take and center it because it is a title. And then what I can take and do is I'm going to throw a gallery in here. So we can do a gallery or a slideshow. I'm actually going to go with the slideshow. So I'm going to take and drag that and drop that. It gives you different options for how the slideshow is going to look. I kind of like this one right now. It's going to ask you to add photos. Again, I'm going to go back to that random folder that I have of different student work. Drop the photos in there. And we can always add photos and remove photos later on down the line. So I'm going to hit save. And now if I hit play, it'll start cycling through. Transition style is fade right now. We can change the speed. We can change the spacing between them. So if I go to spacing, that's my top margin, how it's indented down a little bit. So I can remove that indent from the top so that it's more level if we wanted to. That's kind of a preference. I would take something in here like the text. I like to have the text to the side. And now maybe I could come in here and do a little description about the vinyl sticker, what you learned, what you did, what you created. Again, we can center it if we wanted to. Right now, my text is pretty big here. So if we had, let's say we had multiple lines of text describing what this is, just like that. My text is pretty big. We're more interested about the overall design. So you can see we got this bar in the middle. We can drag it. And now we gave our images more room and less room for the text. Again, we could always add the text down to the bottom if we wanted even more room for the imagery. It's lined up at the top up here. If I wanted it to be centered, again, we have those spacers. So I could come in here with the spacer. And then again, depending on how much you write, maybe we move this down so it's centered a little bit. And then we have that for that design there. Then, if we want to continue on, again, new title. Next one we did was the logo spoof. Center it. We're able to take and grab that slideshow in here, drop it in there, and we can kind of repeat this entire process. I'm not going to add any photos right now, but we can repeat this process. Now, the spacing between these is pretty close. So again, this is where grab the spacer, throw it in there, and that'll allow me to give a little bit more room so that this way we can see, all right, this is all related, and then all my next stuff is related. What we can also do is clicking on this, again, add or edit photos. We have the ability to take and add a caption. So we can say like sketchwork for the vinyl sticker. You can actually link it if you wanted to after we hit save. We could link it to another page that actually has the work. We could actually link into the file where you guys have your sketches digitally. So we're able to link it so it's able to get bigger and that it's not exactly in the slideshow as well, so we can get a little bit more detail if we wanted to. So we can take and go through here, name each of these, hit save, and then as it scrolls through, the little write-up is at the bottom. So like sketch work and then variations and then all the different steps of like weeding and stuff like that. But that is how we basically start adding stuff into our portfolio. Once we're done, we can hit publish. We can click on the name of it. Here's the portfolio. We can see all the changes that have happened. We can scroll through it and we can get a live version of how it's actually looking.